sat there and I thought about how the media portrays Black men and how that is typical of the things that they would focus on.
Oh, no, that was it. No, when I get nervous, I tell the truth.
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
So here we are. That name always pops up right before the whole celebrity world goes up in flames. But this time, Jason Lee isn't just running his mouth for clicks. He's claiming to be holding a ticking bomb over the most untouchable couple in the industry, Beyonce and JayZ. Word is Lee's daring everyone to blink first while he threatens to pull the pin, and for once, it looks like the queen herself might actually be sweating. Beyonce, the woman who built an empire on perfection, is allegedly panicking. The past she's tried to bury may finally be clawing its way back up. This isn't some harmless lover spat or a PR stunt to boost streams. No, this feels like the kind of storm that shakes billion-dollar brands and has PR teams dialing crisis hotlines at 3 a.m. They say Beyonce's scrambling because no matter how perfectly she curates her image, she can't rewrite JayZ's history. And the whispers about what Jason Lee's sitting on? Ugly. What makes it dangerous is how it ties right into old scandals that the Carters have never been able to fully outrun. No matter how many awards or #1 hits they drop, one name keeps floating back to the surface: Aaliyah. If you're wondering why a singer gone for decades still haunts Beyonce's kingdom, you haven't been watching closely. Aaliyah was only 22, just 22. Her entire life, her talent, the whole future of R&B, gone in seconds when that small twin-engine plane went down in the Bahamas. Wreckage everywhere, engines ripped apart, dreams shattered in the dirt. The official story is tragic enough, but the whispers, the theories, they're even darker.
Move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce.
The plane was at least 700 pounds overweight, already a disaster waiting to happen. The pilot, Luis Morales, wasn't even certified to fly the Cessna 402B, and that's just the start of it. Investigators later discovered he had faked his flight logs to get his license, and to make things even worse, he had banned substances in his system when that plane went down. But the most chilling part, Aaliyah never even wanted to get on that plane. According to testimony that surfaced years later, she took one look at the jet and refused, saying she had a headache. She went back to a taxi to rest after being given a pill by someone on her team. Moments later, witnesses claim she was carried onto the plane unconscious.
She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs.
That single horrifying image, Aaliyah being lifted onto her final flight, became the spark that launched 1,000 internet investigations and endless heartbreak. Aaliyah died instantly on impact, her seatbelt still fastened. It should have ended there, but it didn't. Not in the world of fame, where secrets never stay buried for long. What followed was a full-blown media storm, the kind that only erupts when the industry's ugliest truths start crawling toward the light. Suddenly, JayZ's name was showing up in all the wrong conversations, always near the fire, never quite in the flames, but close enough to make people whisper.
I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people.
The tabloids couldn't stop hinting about JayZ's alleged obsession with Aaliyah, even though she was dating Damon Dash at the time. The so-called love triangle between Aaliyah, Jay, and Dame turned into hip-hop folklore, something fans still debate decades later.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane.
Conspiracy theorists have been drawing wild lines ever since, and this story, it's got more dots than a kid's coloring book. Was Jay really just another guest at Diddy's legendary Hamptons parties in 2000? Or was he, as some insist, secretly chasing Aaliyah behind Dash's back? Even Damon Dash couldn't stay silent forever. He finally cracked and told Page Six. Everybody was trying to get close to Aaliyah back then. It wasn't just Jay. There are those blurry late 90s photos floating around, full of laughter, casual arm touches, and side-eye glances between JayZ and Aaliyah at those infamous Hamptons parties, standing just out of frame like shadows waiting to be noticed. Was it all harmless fun? Just music business networking? The whispers say, no way.
And then they brought Rich Harrison in, and you know, got me thinking so crazy right now. She liked posing with him in pictures for Page 6. Aaliyah didn't.
And in the gossip world, that's all it takes to set things off. Now picture this, Beyonce, the queen of composure, allegedly spiraling as this whole nightmare crawls back into daylight, because bringing Aaliyah's ghost back into the headlines isn't just about JayZ's supposed past, it's about everything tied to him. Those old stories don't just follow Jay, they taint everyone around him, and that includes the most polished, tightly controlled brand in modern entertainment. On paper, JayZ looks like the picture of loyalty and the husband, the mogul, the partner, but when you start pulling at the threads, the messy timelines, the whispers, the resurfaced lawsuits, it's not hard to see why Beyonce might be losing sleep right now. And this time, it's not just gossip blogs doing the talking, the timeline actually has teeth. Aaliyah is gone, Damon Dash is still speaking out, and every single move Jay made back in those years is being picked apart again. And just when you think it can't get worse, the Diddy saga explodes, taking the whole industry down with it. Now there's a federal lawsuit, and it names both JayZ and Sean Diddy Combs, accusing them of preying on a teen girl after the 2000 MTV VMAs.
This morning, rap mogul JayZ is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include JayZ. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
The details are disgusting. According to Jane Doe, she was picked up by a limo driver, taken to a celebrity-filled party, handed a drink that made her feel dizzy, and then allegedly left in a room where she says the assaults happened. Both JayZ and Diddy have come out swinging, calling the claims a cheap shakedown, a blackmail stunt, and a publicity grab.
Testimony about what happened leading up to it need to be covered under a non-disclosure agreement if there wasn't foul play.
Now, mind you, September 11th happened a week later. 9/11 happened a week later. Do you think that took away from it?
Once again.
But the internet, it's not buying the cleanup act this time. For Beyonce, this isn't just about guilt or innocence. It's about the optics, the headlines, the hashtags that never go away. Now enter Jason Lee, allegedly holding even more explosive evidence, the kind that could link JayZ to everything. Aaliyah's final days, Diddy's notorious parties, and now the chaos isn't on the way. It's already here, and Beyonce, the woman who built her empire by never breaking a sweat, she might finally be facing a crisis that can't be fixed with a sleek Ivy Park drop or a cryptic Instagram post. If JayZ's name keeps being tied to Aaliyah's death, the plane crash, then this storm brewing over the Carter's empire might be one they can't control. But here's where it gets real messy. JayZ's name is right there next to Diddy's, no longer as a rival or a friend, but as a co-defendant in a federal nightmare that could change everything.
I think that they don't want, if they was in any of those freak-off tapes, if they played a part in any of those Diddy sessions, they don't want it to get out to the general public to make up their...
It's a full-on collision of empires, two powerhouses that once looked untouchable now crashing headfirst into chaos. And if you thought all this drama would stay locked inside the courtroom, think again. Social media has turned into the new age tabloid, and platforms like TikTok and X, yeah, the app once known as Twitter, are running wild. They're spreading theories faster than any gossip mag ever could, feeding a generation that barely even remembers Aaliyah while turning every headline into a conspiracy rabbit hole. Now the stories are mutating by the hour. Beyonce and JayZ aren't just being painted as music royalty anymore. TikTok detectives are calling them the king and queen of some alleged secret cult-like cabal. The online sleuths are spinning wild tales connecting the Carters to everything from Aaliyah's fatal plane crash to Lisa Left Eye Lopes' tragic death and even Michael Jackson's mysterious final days. Never mind that not a single one of these theories has ever stood up in court. None of that matters online. What matters is the clicks, the hashtags, and the algorithm that keeps feeding people the next shocking post. Suddenly, every compliment Beyonce gets at an award show looks suspicious to fans who swear they're seeing coded loyalty rituals. With every viral clip, every trending hashtag, it's like the walls are closing in tighter around her. And word is, Beyonce's panicking behind the scenes. After over 2 decades of being the gold standard for perfection, the woman who built her name on control, elegance, and untouchable power, it looks like the mask might finally be cracking. Jason Lee's rumored bombshell could expose her as someone losing control for the first time ever. And the whispers say her fear isn't just about losing her marriage, it's about watching her whole empire start to shake. She's built her entire world, her music, her brands, her legacy on control. But now, that control is slipping through her fingers. Every single move the Carters make, every endorsement, every Ivy Park relaunch, every business deal is now shadowed by the risk of a media explosion. Because let's be real, how many sponsors want to stay tied to a family name trending for all the wrong reasons? The question nobody wants to ask out loud is the one hanging in the air like smoke. If JayZ's past turns out to be worse than Diddy's, does anyone survive the fallout? When you look back at what happened right after Aaliyah's death, it's impossible not to notice how fast the most powerful people in the industry moved to control the story. Within days, labels, lawyers, and executives circled their wagons, locking down the narrative, a tragic accident. Nothing more, that's what they wanted the world to believe. But behind those tight-lipped press statements, a different storm was brewing. Aaliyah's family wasn't just mourning, but they were lawyering up. Within weeks, lawsuits started flying. They targeted Instinct Productions, Black Hawk International Airways, and even Virgin Records. The very names that were supposed to protect her. The claims were explosive, accusing them of negligence, poor planning, and a total disregard for safety protocols. The public saw the tragic headlines, but the real legal drama played out quietly, far from the cameras. By 2003, those lawsuits just vanished. Settled quietly, documents sealed tight, non-disclosure agreements signed thicker than a record deal. Nobody ever said how much money changed hands, but what mattered most was that the truth never made it to trial. In the music industry, silence is the most expensive currency there is. For the corporations, it meant safety, their reputations intact. For Aaliyah's loved ones, it was closure, but only on paper. The rest of us, we were left with whispers, missing facts, and one cold realization that the most powerful players always find a way to bury their mess and move on. The effect was instant and permanent. After Aaliyah's passing, her mother and brother disappeared from the public eye completely. No interviews, no press appearances, nothing. The label kept things short and sanitized, refusing to address the growing whispers about who pushed for that doomed flight or what last-minute phone calls went down before takeoff. With the truth sealed tight and the family staying silent, the world was left with a blank canvas. And we all know what happens when people are handed silence in a scandal. The vacuum filled up fast. Conspiracy theorists, already suspicious of how shady the music world can be, started spinning their own stories, mixing tragedy with intrigue. The result? A breeding ground for every theory imaginable, some completely outrageous, others eerily believable. And over time, each new lawsuit, death, or scandal just added more fuel to the idea that cover-ups and payoffs are the industry's favorite tools. That's exactly what makes the current moment so explosive. When Jason Lee pops up threatening to drop secrets that could rewrite the Carter legacy, it's not happening in a bubble. People have been trained by history to expect deception. The industry has buried too many truths for too long, and fans are conditioned to believe that every shocking rumor has a sliver of truth behind it. The silence that once protected Aaliyah's memory and kept powerful corporations safe has now turned into a double-edged sword. Because when people smell a cover-up, every rumor suddenly sounds real. Every new lawsuit, every accusation doesn't shock anyone anymore. It just feels like deja vu. So when we hear about Beyonce's alleged panic or Jason Lee's arsenal of industry secrets, we're not just talking about one couple's PR nightmare or a single viral story. We're talking about an entire culture of secrecy, a world built on that unspoken agreement. What happens behind closed doors stays there, unless, of course, the wrong person decides to talk. That's the shadow Aaliyah's story still casts over the whole industry. The reason that even after more than 20 years, the right scandal could still shake the foundation of everything. And now, the latest whispers from inside the business. They say Beyonce is already plotting her next move. The gossip is sharp, precise, almost strategic. Insiders claim she's been reviewing contracts, preparing exit routes, and figuring out what it would take to quietly distance herself if the worst headlines hit the fan. This isn't just about image control anymore. This is straight up survival. Meanwhile, Jason Lee is being painted as the grave digger with a mic, hinting that what he's sitting on isn't just embarrassing, it could be career-ending. It's the kind of dirt that could publicly shatter Beyonce's image, maybe even bring down everything she spent decades building outside of JayZ's shadow. If Jason Lee really has receipts, anything that even suggests a link between the Carters and the darker corners of Diddy's empire, then Beyonce's long reign as untouchable might be over for good.
And we may actually see one of the biggest divorces in Hollywood is because JayZ is up next to be exposed.
We're talking about a scandal that could rewrite the entire history of hip-hop one headline at a time. And the scary part, we don't even have to imagine how fast it can all fall apart. We've seen it happen before. One day someone's the face of greatness, and the next their sponsors vanish, their statues come down, and their reputation is gone before breakfast. Beyonce, who spent her whole career being the symbol of perfection and power, is suddenly rumored to be one viral headline away from collapse. The panic feels real because it is real. In today's world, accusation equals conviction, especially in the court of public opinion. Once you're caught in that storm, the damage isn't just to your music. It hits your legacy, your brands, your history, and the loyalty of the fans who swore you could do no wrong. Right now, the Carters' empire feels less like a palace and more like quicksand, and every new leak just drags them deeper. Between the lawsuits, the rumors, and the flood of online evidence, Beyonce suddenly looks like she's standing on unstable ground. If Jason Lee drops his so-called tea, or if even one new accuser steps into the light, there's no telling how fast that empire could crumble. Sure, some of these online theories are exaggerated and some connections might be reaching, but it's the sheer volume and speed of this scandal cycle that makes it dangerous. Every TikTok thread, every resurfaced photo from the early 2000s, every court filing adds another crack to the image Beyonce built so carefully. And now the biggest question floating around is Beyonce's panic proof that she already knows what's coming? Are Jason Lee's secrets, those dark rumors about JayZ's link to Aaliyah and the fresh lawsuits tying him to Diddy's downfall, the storm that finally ends the Carter dynasty for good? Or is this just another round of wild internet gossip that'll fade once the next scandal hits? We want to hear what you think. Are these just outrageous stories blown out of proportion, or is this the beginning of the end for music's most powerful couple? Drop your thoughts down in the comments and tell us what you've heard. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next twist in this never-ending saga.